What if everything you've been taught about happiness was wrong? What if, just imagine for a moment, your endless striving, your dreams of success, your desperate attempts to manifest joy and fulfillment, were all part of the very illusion that keeps you trapped? Centuries ago, a quiet man in a modest room in Amsterdam dared to challenge not only the religious dogmas of his time, but also the illusions of human desire itself. His name was Baruch Spinoza, and he was excommunicated, rejected, and even labeled dangerous, not because he hated truth, but because he pursued it with terrifying honesty. This is the story of how Spinoza redefined happiness, stripped from fantasies and rooted in deep self-knowledge. It's not a path for the faint of heart, but for those brave enough to turn inward, into the very machinery of thought, emotion, and desire itself. And if you've ever felt like modern life, with all its options, information, and freedoms, still somehow leaves you anxious, insecure, or empty, then maybe, just maybe, Spinoza was speaking directly to you, because he understood something timeless. You can't be free until you understand what drives you. Baruch Spinoza was born into a Portuguese Jewish family in Amsterdam. A brilliant student of scripture and philosophy, he shocked his religious community with his radically unorthodox views. At just 23, he was excommunicated, a spiritual death sentence, for suggesting that God was not some anthropomorphic ruler in the sky, but something far more profound. Yet Spinoza wasn't bitter. Instead of revenge, he chose reflection. He lived a simple, quiet life as a lens grinder, literally polishing glass for microscopes and telescopes. But behind closed doors, he was polishing something else, the clarity of thought. His magnum opus, Ethics, was written in geometric form, axioms, definitions, theorems, like a mathematical proof of the soul. In it, he asked one of the most powerful questions of all: what is true happiness? And how can we free ourselves from the tyranny of our desires? To understand Spinoza is to witness the rare courage of a man who lived in full integrity with his ideas. He turned down prestigious university posts that would have compromised his intellectual freedom. He lived humbly, almost anonymously, because he valued truth more than status. He wasn't just a thinker, he was a living embodiment of his philosophy. Spinoza didn't see desire as evil. In fact, he believed desire is the very essence of human existence. We don't think and then desire. We are beings of desire first. But here's the catch. Most of our desires are based on illusion. We desire money, power, fame, admiration, not because they lead to happiness, but because we've been conditioned to believe they will. Spinoza saw through this. In his view, most people live in a kind of emotional slavery, passively reacting to external events and chasing fleeting pleasures, always at the mercy of their circumstances. He called these passive states of being passions, not in the romantic sense, but in the sense of being acted upon. You feel jealous, angry, greedy. You're not choosing these feelings, they're choosing you. You're being pushed around by forces you don't understand. But here's the deeper tragedy. The more we chase external objects for happiness, the more we give up our power. Our self-worth becomes hostage to circumstances we don't control. A promotion, a lover's approval, a number on a screen. Spinoza's realism wakes us up. What we chase controls us. Unless we learn to understand these desires, they will forever enslave us. The illusion goes even further. Spinoza warned that we often hate what we fear, love what flatters us, and reject what threatens our ego. Not because these responses are right, but because we're trapped in a fog of emotional confusion. To be free, we must become aware of this fog, see through it, and step into the light of understanding. Spinoza's answer? Don't kill desire, understand it, master it, transform it. Spinoza's entire philosophy rests on one radical idea. Freedom is not doing whatever you want. Freedom is understanding why you want it. The more you understand the causes of your desires and emotions, the more clearly you see the mechanisms that drive you, the less they control you, and in that clarity, you gain power. The more you understand yourself and your emotions, the more you are free, Spinoza wrote. The wise man is guided by reason, not by emotion. This is what he called the transition from passion to action. When you understand the causes of your emotions, you move from being passive to active, from being a puppet of life to a co-creator of it. True happiness for Spinoza is not the spike of pleasure, but the deep, enduring joy of being aligned with reason, truth, and love. Not love of possession, but the kind of intellectual love of God he described as the highest virtue. Amor Dei intellectualis. In this state, you're no longer reacting, you're creating. You're no longer begging the world to complete you. You've become complete in yourself. This isn't a mystical dream, it's a psychological revolution. Spinoza shows us that when you know why you feel what you feel, you can finally choose how to live. One of Spinoza's most profound and misunderstood ideas is this: God or nature. To him, God was not a person, not a father figure, not someone you pray to for a parking spot. God is everything. God is the very structure and flow of the universe. God is nature, logic, cause and effect, the laws of motion in even your own mind. To live in harmony with nature, to understand it and live by its laws, is to live in harmony with God. And to love God in this sense is to love truth, reality, in your own essence. What's revolutionary here is that Spinoza didn't ask you to believe. He asked you to understand. His God cannot be bribed with prayers or offended by sins. His God is the very logic of existence. To know this God is not to kneel, but to awaken. To stop asking the universe to bend to your will, and instead align your will with the universe. And in doing so, you realize something astonishing. You are part of God, not metaphorically, but literally. The same force that moves the stars also moves your mind. You don't need to escape the world to be divine. You just need to understand your place within it. You might be wondering, what does this mean for me today? In a world of dopamine, distractions, and TikTok, it means slowing down and examining your desires. It means asking, why do I want this? Is this my desire or one sold to me? What emotion is driving me, and what is its cause? It means seeing your emotions not as enemies, but as clues, signals pointing to deeper forces at play. And gradually, through understanding, you move toward joy, not as a temporary mood, but as a stable way of being. Try this. Next time you feel angry, jealous, or anxious, don't react. Observe, trace it back. Ask, what belief is this feeling rooted in? Is it true? Who gave me this belief? Spinoza's method is not to suppress emotions, but to follow them like breadcrumbs until you reach the hidden architecture of your mind. And from there, gently, you can rebuild. In practical terms, this also means building habits of reflection, journaling, meditation, study, not to escape the world, but to know it more clearly. Spinoza invites us to stop living reactively and start living intelligently. Every desire you untangle is a step toward inner sovereignty. Spinoza didn't lead an army. He didn't found a religion. He died young, mostly unknown. Yet today his ideas ripple through the works of Einstein, Carl Jung, Deleuze, and even modern neuroscience. Why? Because he offered something rare, a vision of happiness not built on consumption, but on comprehension, a joy not dependent on pleasure, but on presence, a freedom not of will, but of wisdom. In a world that promises happiness through external things, Spinoza reminds us, true joy comes from within, but only after deep, honest work. Not easy, not flashy, but real. A joy that can't be taken from you, because it was never borrowed. And that is Spinoza's revolution. Quiet, internal, invisible to the crowd, but life-changing for the individual. You won't find it on billboards or trending hashtags, but in moments of clarity, it will change how you walk, how you speak, and how you love. This revolution begins in silence, not in marches, but in meditative thought, not in declarations, but in understanding yourself deeply. It's not glamorous, but it is powerful. Spinoza teaches that true transformation isn't about controlling the world. It's about no longer needing to. And in that realization, you become unshakable. So how do you master your desires? You hold up the mirror. You study your reflection. You seek causes, not blame. You choose understanding over reaction. And slowly, quietly, you free yourself. Spinoza's way is not easy, but it is real. And in a world full of noise, that's the most radical thing of all. Imagine living in a way that no praise could inflate you and no insult could wound you. That's not indifference, it's freedom. That's what happens when you understand your nature so fully, so honestly, that you're no longer at war with it. That is what Spinoza offers. Not escape from life, but a fearless, joyful entry into it, on your own terms, rooted in truth.